And here we are with sunflower. Now the thing that's a little bit different with sunflower is mentioned in the DVD, but I can tell you it's less seed per tray. So wheatgrass, you planted a pound of seed per tray. Sunflower, you're going to plant 3/4 of a pound of seed per tray, per the large tray. I've been showing you all our large trays in this demonstration here. As you can see, the seeds have a little tail coming out. We are using the black oil or small black sunflower, not the big white striped one. We're using the small black or black oil. Once that little tail pops out, that's when you go ahead and plant it on top of the soil, give it a good heavy water. And with sunflower, we actually put a tray on top of it that has weight in it. In other words, there's soil in the tray that covers it. So this actually has some weight to it. It weighs a good 2 or 3 pounds, and we're putting it right on top of that sunflower. And the reason for the weight is to force them to grow even. With wheatgrass, you didn't necessarily have to do the weight on top of it. You could if you chose to. So we went ahead and we watered the sunflower heavy after we planted it, put that weighted tray right on top of it. That's day 1. Day 2, we uncovered it, gave it a good heavy water again, and put that weight tray back on top of it. You can see now those roots are starting to go into the soil. And there's kind of a good example of that cilia. You can see it really close there. It looks like mold, but ultimately it's really just the root hairs. When you water it, all those little hairs disappear. It's not mold. Okay, so that would be day 2. Day 3 pretty much looks the same as day 2. They're still just getting into the soil. Okay, we keep them covered with that heavy weighted tray. Even though they're starting to sprout now, they're still covered with that heavy weighted tray. Water them just once a day. Give them a good heavy water, make sure they drip. Now this would be the next day. This would be day 4. They're starting to push up now. Starting to push that weighted tray right up and off. When it gets to the point where you can actually slide that weighted tray, for example, if this was that weighted tray, if you could slide that tray back and forth without it hitting the other tray it's in, that's when it's time to take it off. Okay, but keep that weight on top of it for at least 4 days. So maybe the 5th day you would take it off until that sunflower comes right up to the lip of the tray it's in. It pushes that weighted tray to the point where it's going to knock it off. So that would be your next day. That would be day 4. So now day 5, we actually took the weighted tray off and we turned it upside down and put it back on top. Okay, now this is a stage that is kind of unfamiliar to most. Once it gets to the point where we actually took that weighted tray off, we're going to take another tray, an empty one, turn it upside down, and put it right on top of there. That's to keep them dark for another 2 days. That's what actually that does. By keeping them dark, you force them to grow tall first. They don't green up as fast. So they're going to look really yellow. The shells are going to be stuck to the leaves. You're going to think you made a mistake, but you haven't. Now your next day, it's starting to get taller. It's still very yellow. Actually, we've had these uncovered for about 2 hours this morning already, so they're starting to turn green. They went from yellow in 2 hours and turned green. Okay, we kept that tray on top upside down for 2 more days. We just uncovered this today. So you can see it's a pretty good size before we let them green up. Now those shells are still kind of stuck to the leaves, those small black shells. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our hand when it's wet. In other words, the first thing in the morning when they're still dewy, we're going to take our hand, just rub it across the top there. You can kind of give it a good hard rub. Catch it early in the morning or go ahead and spray it with a little spray bottle, get it wet, mist it, and then rub your hand across the top. And as you can see, a lot of them kind of slid right off the leaves. That's the great thing about the small black, the black oil. See the difference? Those have the shells sticking to them, and these, the shells are pretty much off the leaves by now. So rub your hand across the top. And now they're going to green up in 1 day. That's what they're going to look like the next day. Starting to get green and full. You still have a couple of those shells. You can go ahead and rub your hand across the top again. Get the rest of those off. And then I kind of exaggerated with a day or so. So this would probably be 9 days. But then you have a full, beautiful tray of sunflower. And out of 3/4 of a pound of seed, it's going to yield almost 4 pounds of fresh sunflower greens. So you really get a lot of sunflower out of 1 tray, out of just 3/4 pound of seed. Sunflower is ready to harvest kind of like wheatgrass is. It splits. So you can kind of see there, right in the middle, you see a second set of leaves starting to shoot up. Have your long stem, great source of lecithin, chlorophyll in the top here, oxygen, and then you spread those two leaves apart, and there's that second blade, that split. Sunflower splits at the top, wheatgrass splits at the bottom. And that's when it's ready to harvest, when you can see those second set of leaves starting to shoot up there. Okay, so cut the whole tray. Sunflower lasts a week in the refrigerator. Use those Everfresh bags. You're going to hear about them, the green bags. Last almost 2 weeks in those bags. Sunflower is what you're going to eat on the buffet. What we eat here at Hippocrates. You can also put them into your green juice. It's an excellent source of juice. Proteins. Sunflower, wheatgrass, also complete proteins. Okay, let's get on to pea greens, and we'll do buckwheat really quick, and that'll be it.